to yet another budget guide video for your support classes to clear Airship. Now today I'm going to talk about one of the classes that is a must in every party, especially if you're running Wrath or Ronins, which is usually the case, which is the Saint. To be more specific, the Converter Saint. Now there are two builds for the Saint to work, an AA convert and a Magnus convert, which is a skill that the Saints have. Now, one problem with the Magnus skill is that sometimes there's an FX that removes ground skills, ground magic effects, and Magnus is considered one of them, so it's not gonna be good for this week. For this video, I will focus on the AA convert Saint. First off, let's begin with the runes. Luckily, there's only one rune that's important for Saints, which is a blue rune called Silent Prayer. Ideally, you want high lines on this rune. Mine isn't that great. What it does is that it has a chance to cast Ratio when you auto attack, and you're gonna be auto attacking most of the time. Ratio is a skill that reduces the holy resistance of enemies. Some people said that this rune is an absolute must because it converts enemy to dark. However, I think the skill is only for yourself, so it only converts, but only to yourself, not to your teammates. So it's not important. I wouldn't stress over this rune. The other three runes are also not as important. This is mainly just for extra HP, and sometimes you can heal when you take damage. The Glitch heal makes your healing skills stronger. Again, it's not as important. And the FP rune, it's great in normal cases, but not as important in Airship, because you'll mostly be auto attacking. You're not gonna be FPing as much. Next, let's go see the skills. I won't talk about every skill, only the important ones. Pay attention to the skill points distribution here. It's a traditional distribution for Saints. I have 1 point on Magnus in case I switch to the other build one day, but again, we're focusing on the AA convert this time. Aspercio is really important to have it 2 out of 2. Use it to buff up your Wrath and Ronin's holy attack damage, holy element. Traditional distribution here, nothing too different. Now there is a skill here that you really need to max, which is this one, the Exhort. This is one of your primary converting skills. Basically have a chance to convert when you auto attack or use holy damage skills. So whichever build that you're using, you need to max this one. Also max out the Ratio, which is the rune that we talked about earlier, that reduces the holy damage taken of enemies. If you are new to Saint and you don't have all your skill points, make sure that you max out this one, the Hammer of Blessings, and max out the 2 passives that you have with it. Hammer of Blessings makes your auto attacks AoE, so you can convert multiple enemies at the same time. Here's my Prepare for Elite. So what I ideally do, I buff up Prepare for Elite. I use Aspercio on my Wrath and Ronins. I keep my Hammer of Blessing up whenever I can, and auto attack. Let's say that this is an MVP, this is his element, which is, right now he is normal. When you attack him, you'll see this change to dark. It means that he is converted. And you have to keep attacking him even after he's converted to keep this up. If you stop attacking after 5 seconds, you'll go back to normal. Next, let's go to the stats distribution. I invested a little bit into Agi, Vid, Int, and some decks to make sure that my skills are casted without any delay. Make sure that your auto attack speed, attack speed is 480%. You can also use meal B and attack speed buffs to make sure that you reach this threshold. And finally, let's talk about the equipment. I use a traditional tank set, nothing too different. I'm using this one for the firebirds, sometimes they do a lot of damage. I use this phase to increase my teammates' damage to MVPs, it helps a little bit. I use the cooldown, skill cooldown reduction back only because it makes my Hammer of Blessing have an uptime of 100% after I buff. Let me buff up. It has about a 30 seconds cooldown now, and its uptime is 30 seconds. So you know for sure that you can keep this up all the time. You don't need a cooldown offhand, just use a tanky one. For the headwear, I use this one. I really recommend it. It can save you sometimes. And use a nightmare on it to avoid the slumber effect. Now keep in mind that I switch my offhand and armor depending on the MVPs I fight. So if I'm fighting fire, earth, wind or water MVP, I use these two. If I'm fighting a dark or a poison MVP like Wasteland Lord or Aramis, or a holy one like Archangelic, I switch to these offhands and armors. And also the card on the armor depends on who I fight. If it's a dark like Wasteland Lord or a poison like Aramis, I use an Argiope. If it's Archangelic Holy, I use an Angelic card. All of this increases your chance of survivability by a lot, and also saves you some Yek berries that you would be using. Now finally I would like to talk about the weapon. It's really important to use a mace type of weapon instead of a rod, because mace weapons have a higher attack speed. If you use a rod, your attack speed will be really low, even if you fully invest into Agi. Ideally, you want the thin version of this weapon, the Burst Hammer, because it has a Lex effect that can apply to your teammates, for your teammates, when it's plus 15. But this is a budget build and I'm poor, so I don't wanna get the thin version, so it works fine. As for the cards, there is one card that I really recommend, which is the Mutant Dragon Star, because you have 15% chance when you're auto attacking to use a fireball, and that reduces the damage reduction of the targets that you hit. So it makes your Wrath and Ronins hit harder, and you're gonna be auto attacking pretty much all the time. For a second card slot, you could use a Baphomet. Some people recommended that. I don't find that it is absolutely necessary, because you have this skill, the Hammer of Blessing, which makes your attacks AoE anyway, so you don't really need a Baphomet unless there's an affix that increases your cast time, like the Senile affix. Other than that, Baphomet is not a must at all. And you can use the accessory card, Shepherd Store. And finally, for last minute tips, don't forget to use your anti-death food before you run. Make sure that you have at least 6 stacks. And again, how you should buff up: always at the beginning of the run, prepare for elite. Use Aspersu, keep it up all the time on your Wrath and Ronins and yourself. And use Hammer of Blessing to make your attacks AoE. Keep attacking, even after you converted to dark, still keep attacking anyway, to keep the convert up. I will post a guide for a run that I did this week. It was triple S15, so you can know exactly how to move and how to attack and stay on the MVPs and the group nodes. Thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.